Okay, good evening, dear ladies. Let's bless Bezrat Hashem that we will all have the zchut to greet Mashiach tzidkenu b'chamim mo'im b'mara b'yameinu amen. Eliyahu Navi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Geradi, b'mara yavo elenu, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Navi zechulato. And we all have the zchut to see the building of Beit HaMikdash HaShlishi b'mara b'yameinu amen. כי עין בעין יראו בשוב אדוני ציון. אתה תקום תרחם ציון, כי עת לחננה קיבה מועד. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו כקדם. And we all have the zchut to go to Eretz Yisrael, to the land of Israel on the wings of eagle, and we all have part in Eretz Yisrael. בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, אין עוד מלבדו. השם שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך, and everything that we are doing is in the name of all of the children of Israel. Everything that we are doing, בסייעתא דשמיא, is לעילוי נשמת. It's for the souls of that were murdered by the vicious terrorists. עליהם השלום, תהי שמותם צרה בצורך חיים. Hashem ייקום דמם, Hashem will revenge their blood. And all of the wounded, may Hashem give them רפואה שלמה in Klal Yisrael, בעזרת Hashem, mentally and physically, all of the sick people. And בעזרת Hashem, may Hashem bring back all of the captured, healthy, mentally and physically, עכשיו בעזרת השם, now. And בעזרת השם, may our soldiers שילכו לשלום ויחזרו לשלום, משברך אבותינו הקדושים אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. הוא יברך את חיילי ישראל העומדים על משמר ארצנו וערלנו, מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים, ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה ביבשה, באוויר ובים. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו ואותנו מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, ויחזקם ברוחם וגופם, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשי ידיהם, וידבר שונאינו תחתיהם ויתרנו בכתר ישועה ועטרת ניצחון, ויקם בנו הכתוב כי אדוני עליכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן. Dear ladies, this parasha, this Shavua, is Parashat Vayeira. So, what we're going to do today is because there was a note and people are asking. Avraham Avinu had two children, two sons that are mentioned with their names over here. And the two sons are Ishmael and Yitzchak. And there's a question people are asking, so whose land is this, the land of Israel? Who does it belong to? So, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to go through the Torah and the Tanakh, and we'll show who does this land, the land of Israel, belong to. First of all, we have to have a basic thing. On Rosh Hashanah, we crowned Hashem as the King of the universe. Hashem created the world. God created the world. Even if you don't believe in that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that God created the world. You just didn't come to this level to understand spiritually who is the boss of the world. So, first of all, God is the King of the universe. God created the world. Everything is God, and God is everything. Elokim ze hakol, ve'hakol ze elokut. We are the soul that is inside the body, and this soul comes from God. So we are truly the soul. The body is only a clothing to that soul. That's why it goes back to earth. It came from earth and it goes back to earth, but the soul goes back to the Creator. And we are just passing through in this world. So God gave the land of Israel, Hashem Natan, the land of Israel, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to all of their descendants forever and ever. Like God is eternity, His promises are eternity. So Hashem gave the land of Israel to the children of Israel, which means Abraham had Yitzchak and Ishmael, two sons, Yitzchak and Ishmael, and the promise was given to Yitzchak. From Yitzchak to Yaakov, from Yaakov to the 12 tribes, and for then until now we are their descendants, and it will continue until the end of days, the end of times. So let's explain Bezrat Hashem, and we'll go through everything by the Torah. First of all, the book of the beginning Genesis is the book that speaks about how God created the world and from where humanity came, which means all of the nations, including the children of Israel, are one big family, and all of them started with Adam and Eve. And then after Hashem, we just passed the Mabul in Noach, the flood, Hashem wiped out all flesh from earth. And then from Noach and his 3 sons, all humanity came out. But Noach still is the son of Adam. So we are part of one family. Can you imagine how much fights we have in one family? So dear ladies, then we see that Hashem speaks about Noach and after the flood, and he speaks about the generation of the tower. And then we come to the part of Terach, and Terach is the father of Abraham, and from there on Hashem gives us all of the history and everything that happened to the children of Israel, the children of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and Ishmael and Edom, and Hashem, all of the nations that came. But mostly after that, from the moment we come to the portion of Lech Lecha, it speaks only about the children of Israel, mainly to show us B'siyata Dishma until we came to receiving the Torah, and then after that conquering the Eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan, which Hashem gave to the children of Israel. So we are going now to Parashat Lech Lecha. We're going to travel through in order to see and to understand what's going on. This land, who does it belong to? Why everybody is fighting over this land? We'll see that by Chesed LaAvraham B'siyata Dishma. So let's go to Parashat Lech Lecha, to the portion of Lech Lecha. So Hashem promises Avraham Avinu that he's going to give him the land of Israel, Eretz Canaan. And Avraham Avinu in Parashat Lech Lecha, chapter 15, verse 4, he says, how should I know? He says, how should I know that I am going to inherit this land? He asks him. So Hashem gives him an answer by making a treaty with him. So he tells him, he says over here that he should take to me 3 heifers, 3 goats, 3 rams, and a turtle dove and a young dove. And he took all of this. Abraham is taking all of these to him. He cut them in the center and placed each piece in 2 lines, okay, half here and half here, in 2 lines, in opposite lines. The birds he didn't cut. It says the birds, however, he did not cut up. Birds of prey descended down and took everything that was there. And we're going to read it for you in Hebrew. Vayered ha'ayit al ha'pgarim, vayeshev otam Avram. And the bird of prey descended on their carcasses, and Abraham drove them away. And it happened as the sun was about to set, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and then he sees all of the 4 exiles of his children. And I won't go into it, but he sees the exile of Babylon, and then he sees the exile of Parasu Madai, Persia and Madai, and then we spoke about it by the statue of the dream of Nebuchadnezzar and the interpretation of Daniel the prophet. And then he sees the exile of Greece, and then he sees the exile of Edom, which we are in. He sees everything that is happening. And then Hashem tells him, on that day Hashem made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your descendants have I given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river. And he says over here, to Nehar Prat, the river of Prat. And now he tells him what does it include. So he says, Eta Kini, there are 10 nations that he's going to give the land that they are sitting now on. He's going to give it to the children of Israel, which is to the descendants of Abraham. And he says, Et hakini, ve'et hakinzi, ve'et hakadmoni, ve'et hachiti, ve'et haprizi, ve'et harephaim, ve'et haemori, ve'et haknaani, ve'et hagirgashi, ve'et hayevusi. 10 nations. we know that when Yoshua came to conquer the land of Israel, he conquered seven nations. The other three, which is the Kini, HaKinzi, HaKadmoni, will be part of the land of Israel when Mashiach is here. I will speak about it later. So there's a promise of Hashem to Avram that he's going to give him the land of the 10 nations. Okay, but we don't know still here to whom, which descendants he's going to give it. So now, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to continue. So we're continuing to chapter, still Parashat Lech Lecha, chapter 17, and we're going over here to verse 7, chapter 17, verse 7, and it says, and Hashem gives him a promise. And he says to him, at the beginning of chapter 17, he says, Ve'i Avram ben 90 shana v'tesha shanim. Avram is now 99 years old. Vayeira Hashem el Avram ve'omer elav, and Hashem is revealed to him and he speaks to him. Ani kel shaddai italech lefanai ve'etamim. He tells him, be perfect, be honest, walk before me. ואתנה בריתי ביני ובינך והרבה אותך במאוד מאוד. And I will set my covenant between me and you, and I will increase you, which means you will multiply most exceedingly, he tells him. ויפול אברהם על פניו ודבר איתו אלוקים, and Avram is falling on his face, and God is speaking to him and is saying to him, אני הנה בריתי איתך והיית לאב המון גויים. As for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be a father of multitude of nations. And he says to him, and he continues, and he tells him, ולא יקרא עוד שמך אברהם, והיה שמך אברהם, כי אב המון גויים נתתיך. Now I'm going to add a hey to your name. It won't be Avram anymore, but I'm going to call you Abraham, for I have made you the father of multitude nations. And he tells him, והפרדתי אותך במאוד מאוד, ונתתיך לגויים ומלכים ממך יצאו. So I will make you exceedingly fruitful and make nations of you, and kings shall descend from you, he tells him. And then he continues, והקימותי את בריתי ביני ובינך, and I will ratify my covenant between me and you, ובין זרעך אחריך, and between your offspring. Please mute yourselves. And between your offsprings to you, לדורותם לברית עולם. This is going to be a covenant forever. להיות לך לאלוקים ולזרעך אחריך. And I will be your God, and all of your offsprings, all of the descendants forever, he says. ונתתי לך ולזרעך אחריך, and I'm going to give you and your descendants after you, את ארץ מגוריך, את ארץ כנען לאחוזת עולם. And to the land of, and I'm going to give the land, Eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan, to be an everlasting possession, and I shall be a God to them. והייתי להם לאלוקים. Okay? So now Hashem is asking him to circumcise himself, and he's 99 years old, and now he has Ishmael. Ishmael is the son of Hagar, the maidservant of Sarah, because you remember King Pharaoh gave his daughter Hagar to be a maidservant to Sarah. He says it's better that she will be a maidservant to kings than to stay over here in his home. So, and because Sarah for 10 years didn't bear any children, she gave him Hagar, and Hagar gave birth to Ishmael, which is the son of Abraham. So Ishmael, now we see over here that Ishmael is the son of Abraham, and he is circumcised at the age of 13, and until today Ishmael continues to circumcise their sons at the age of 13. But Hashem gives a covenant between Abraham and Hashem, and he tells him that from now on, every child should be circumcised at the age of 8 days old. Okay, Hashem changes the name of Avram to Avraham, with a Hey, and he changes the name of Sarai, that instead of the Yud, there will come a Hey, Sarai Menu. Okay? And by this, B'siyata Dishmaya, we know that angels came at the beginning of Parashat Vayeira. Hashem comes to visit Avraham Avinu at the third day when he was very sick from the circumcision, and he comes to him and he sees that he has sorrow, that he doesn't have guests because he opened his house to all four corners of the wind in order to have guests and to put them under the wings of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence, and to announce the name of Hashem in this world and to let them know the truth beyond the falseness of this world. So there are three angels that come, and they come, and he offers them food, and they tell them, and they tell him that Ka'et Chaya u'lesara ben, and that Sarah is going to bear a son. Okay, now let's continue. I'm going through Sodom and Amorah. I'm continuing in Parashat Vayeira. Okay, now we're coming to the birth of Yitzchak, okay? And we are chapter 21 in Parashat, in the portion of Vayeira, and verse 3. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah had borne him, Isaac, Yitzchak. Abraham circumcised his son, Yitzchak, at the age of 8 days as God had commanded him. Now, you know why it's 8 days? Part of the reason that it's 8 days, because Yitzchak, we know, served Hashem from the measure of judgment, sheze din in Hebrew, din in Hebrew. Dalet is 4 in numerical value, Yud is 10, Nun is 50, together it's 64. 64 in numerical value, 60 is Samech, 4 is Dalet, is Samech Daled. 8 days of circumcision. If I take the Samech and the Dalet and I put the 8, which is Chet in Hebrew, it becomes Chesed, mercy. So by the 8 days of circumcision, the judgment was softened to mercy towards the world. So we see over here that Yitzchak, which Hashem gave this name to Yitzchak, that Yitzchak was circumcised at the 8th day. Now Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, we're continuing Parashat Vayeira, still chapter 21, and we see over here that ותרא שרה, it's verse 9, ותרא שרה את בן הגר המצרית אשר ילדה לאברהם מצחק, so now Sarah imenu, Sarah, a former the son of Hagar, Ishmael, which was worshipping at that Metzachek means worshipping other gods. So Vatomer לאברהם, and she comes to Abraham and she tells him, גרש האמה הזאת ואת בנה כי לא יירש בין האמה הזאת עם בני יצחק. So she tells him, drive out this the son of this maidservant, for the son of the maidservant shall not inherit with my son, with Yitzchak. And it continues, והרע דבר מאוד בעיני אברהם. So Avraham Avinu did not like this, because this was also his son. ויאמר אלוקים אל אברהם. So Hashem, God tells Avraham, אל ירא בעיניך על הנער ועל אמתך. He says, don't feel bad for your son Ishmael and the maidservant. He tells him, כל אשר תאמר אליך שרה, everything that Sarah is telling you, שמע בקולה, listen to her, כי ביצחק יקרא לך זרע. Because in Yitzchak, in his descendants, the promise will be fulfilled. Not your son Ishmael, but your son Yitzchak. And he tells him, because Ishmael is your son too, וגם את בן האמה לגוי ישימנו כזרעך הוא. Because he's also one of your descendants, so I'm going to make him a big nation. And we see it now. He's spread all over. We'll come to it, that he's spread all over. This is the prophecy. He's spread all over. But the promise of the land of Canaan and the promise of the Torah will continue with Yitzchak your son. So ביצחק יקרא לך זרע. And we continue בסייעתא דשמיא, and we continue to the part of Akedat Yitzchak, when Hashem tells, this is the 10th test of faith, of emunah, that Hashem gives Avraham Avinu. He has one son that Hashem told him that this son, all of the promises that I gave you are going to be fulfilled with him. ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, והאלוקים ניסה את אברהם, and after all of this, Hashem is testing Abraham, ויאמר אליו, and he tells him, Abraham, ויאמר הנני, as here I am, Abraham tells him, here I am, ויאמר קח נא את בנך, take your son, את יחידך, your only son, אשר אהבת, the one that you love, את יצחק, ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה, and go to the land of Moriah, to the mountain of Moriah, ועלהו שם לעולה על אחד הערים אשר אמר אליך. So this is in the land of Israel, in Jerusalem. This is the Temple Mount. And he tells him, bring him over there, and I want you to sacrifice him over there. So Avraham Avinu takes his son, and he puts him on the altar. After 3 days, this is the mountain of Moriah. He goes over there, and Yitzchak tells him, tie me a hand and a leg together in order that I won't move, that I will be a pure sacrifice to Hashem. If this is the will of Hashem, I'm willing to be a pure sacrifice to Hashem. And he says, and at that time, and then Hashem tells him, he sends an angel to tell him, Avraham, he calls him, don't slaughter your son, I'm going to give you, he sees a ram, and he takes the ram, and he puts him as a sacrifice instead of Yitzchak. And he says, ויקרא אברהם שם המקום הוא Hashem יראה. That now he calls the place Hashem יראה, that Hashem sees, Hashem saw. So בסייעתא דשמיא, we're continuing, and Hashem says, ויקרא מלאך השם אל אברהם שנית מן השמיים, the angel of Hashem is calling Abraham secondly again from heaven, ויאמר בי נשבעתי נאום השם. Hashem gives a promise, כי יען, he gives an oath, כי יען אשר עשית את הדבר הזה ולא חסכת את בנך את יחידך, because you did this thing and you have not withhold your son, your only one. He says, כי ברך אברכך והרבה הרבה זרעך, so I shall surely bless you and greatly increase your offsprings like the stars, ככוכבי השמיים וככל אשר על שפת הים, like the stars in heavens and like the sand on the seashore. It says over here, וירש זרעך את שאר אויביו, and your descendants, your offsprings, will inherit the gates of their enemy. במהרה בימינו אמן. ויתברכו בזרעך, and all of the nations of earth shall be blessed, shall bless themselves by your offsprings, by all of the descendants of Yitzchak. by your offsprings, ויתברכו בזרעך כל גויי הארץ, עקב אשר שמעת בקולי, because you have listened to my voice. So that not only a promise, that all of the promise of the land of Israel, Eretz Canaan, which was called Eretz Canaan. Why was it called Eretz Canaan? Because all of the nations, the 7 nations that were sitting there, they were descendants of Canaan. Canaan is the son of Ham ben Noach. So these are the descendants of Canaan. Canaan is the son of Ham, the son of Noach. And we continue now to see where does this promise go through. B'siyata d'ishmaya. Okay, I'm now going to Chayei Sarah. And it says that Avraham Avinu is old now, and he is going to give his everything that he has to his children. So it says, Vayiten Avraham et kol asher lo liyitzchak. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, which means all of the promises of Hashem he gave to Yitzchak. ולבני הפילגשים אשר לאברהם נתן אברהם מתנות וישלחם מעל יצחק בנו בעודנו חי קדמה אל ארץ קדם. So pay attention, but to the maid servant children, to the concubine children who are Abraham's, Abraham gave gifts, then he sent them away from Yitzchak, his son, while he was still alive, eastward to the land of East. So all of the children received gifts, and he sent them, and while he was still alive, before he passed away. And to Yitzchak he gave the promise that Hashem promised him, and we'll see how Hashem speaks to Yitzchak. And then we see Ve'ele toldot Ishmael ben Avraham, and these are the descendants of Ishmael, the son of Abraham. Asher yalda Hagar HaMitzchit Shifchat Sarah LaAvraham, that Hagar, the Egyptian, the maidservant of Sarah, bore to Abraham. And over here we see there's a list of all of the descendants of Ishmael, and know that Ishmael did tshuva. Ishmael did tshuva, and he became a friend of his brother Yitzchak, B'siyata Dishmaya, and they didn't have quarrels among them. He made tshuva. And then at the end of Chayei Sarah, it says, Al pnei kol echav nafal, that over all of his brothers he shall fall. Which means, at the end of days, he's going to be spread all over the world, and then he's going to fall. We are at the stage of the statue that was in the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. We are in the fingers, the toes, the fingers of the feet. We are at the toes. We see the iron. We studied it together. The iron is the Christian nations. The clay is the Muslim nations. There's going to be a big, it will be a religious war. It will be about religion, this war. And there will be a war, and it says that all of the descendants of Ishmael are going to fall, and from this, after that, immediately it's written, Ve'ele toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. And this is the descendants, the offsprings of Yitzchak ben Avraham. There will be a rise of the Jewish nation, of the Jewish people, the Siyata Dishmael. And we're continuing. I'm going to continue Parashat Toldot. And I'm coming to chapter 26. And in chapter 26, we see that there's a famine in the land of Canaan, and Vayeira ba'aretz milvad harav harishon, except for the famine that was in the time of Avraham Avinu. You remember Avraham Avinu, there was a famine and he went to Egypt, and we see over here that there's a famine in the land of Canaan, and Hashem tells Yitzchak this, it's chapter 26 verse 2, Vayera elav Hashem vayomer al tered mitzrayma. He tells Yitzchak, don't go to Egypt. Shchon ba'aretz asher omar elecha. Stay in the land that I will tell you. Gur ba'aretz azot v'yeh imcha, because he doesn't want him to go out of the land of Israel, the Eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan. He tells him, Gur ba'aretz azot v'yeh imcha. You will stay in this land, and I will be with you. V'avarchecha, and I'm going to bless. V'avarchecha, and I'm going to bless you. Ki lecha ulezarecha eten et kol ha'aratzot ha'el. Because for you and your descendants, I'm going to give all of this land, the land of Canaan. והקימותי את השבועה אשר נשבעתי לאברהם אביך. And I'm going to fulfill the oath that I gave Abraham your father. והרביתי את זרעך ככוכבי השמיים, ונתתי לזרעך את ארצות האל. And I'm going to multiply your offsprings like the stars in heaven, and I'm going to give all of this land that he's dwelling on, the land of Canaan, to your descendants. ויתברכו בזרעך כל גויי הארץ. Look how many times Hashem puts a note over it. I will increase your offsprings like a star in heavens. I will give to your offsprings all of these lands. And all of the nations of the earth shall bless themselves by your offsprings, which means all of the blessings of the nations are by the children of Israel, that are the firstborns of Hashem. And he says, because Abraham, and he tells him, עקב אשר שמע אברהם בקולי וישמור משמרתי מצוותיי וחוקותיי ותורותיי. He says, because Abraham obeyed my voice and observed my safeguards, my commandments, my decrees, and my Torahs. So we see that there's a continuation from Abraham, the land of Canaan, the promise of the land of Israel. Hashem gives this promise to Yitzchak. We see it in Parashat here. We see the Parashat Toldot that Hashem speaks to Yitzchak and gives him this promise that he promised to Abraham Avinu, which means B'Yitzchak yikare lecha zera. This promise, this oath that is for eternity, goes to the children of Yitzchak. But Yitzchak also has two children. He has twins, Yaakov and Esav. So let's see how this is going to continue. B'siyata dishmaya. I'm going to continue with the promise. This is chapter 26, and it's verse 24, okay? Or 23. Vayar elav Hashem b'layla hu, and Hashem, he's now in Beersheba, Yitzchak, and Hashem is revealed to him at that night. Hashem appears to him at that night, and he says, "Vayomer Anochi Elokei Avraham Avicha, I am the God of your father Abraham. Al tira," he says, "Fear not, ki itcha Anochi, for I am with you." And he says, "Uverachticha virbeti zarecha ba'avur Avraham avdi," and I am going to bless you and increase your offsprings because of Abraham my servant. And then you see over here, and then Yitzchak Avinu makes an altar and gives a sacrifice to Hashem. And then we continue, and I'm going to Parashat Vayeira. We know that that there's a promise that now already know that Yitzchak received the promise of the promised land, which is Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Canaan, and not Ishmael. Ishmael got presents and during the lifetime of Abraham Avinu, and he took all of the children of Hagar, which is Torah, and gave them presents while he is still alive, and the promise came to Yitzchak, and Hashem assures Yitzchak that this promise will go to all of his descendants. So there's no question that the land of Israel now belongs to the Jewish people, okay, to the children of Yitzchak. So let's see. Yitzchak also had Yaakov, and he had Esav. Esav received from Hashem as inheritance Har Seir, the mountain of Seir. And where did the land of Israel continue this promise to the offsprings of Yitzchak, which are Yaakov Avinu, and from them to the 12 tribes. So now we see that after Yaakov Avinu receives the blessings from Yitzchak, because Yitzchak tells his son Esav to go and to bring to go to hunt and to bring him something to eat, and then he will bless him. And Rivka Imenu sees by prophecy that this blessing should go to her son Yaakov. So she tells him, I'm going to dress you up like Esav, and you go and get the blessings. So he comes to him, and Yitzchak says, Reach b'ni kereach hasadeh, asher berchu Hashem, and he smells it, because Yitzchak is blind, and he smells Yaakov, and he says, your smell, the smell of my son is a smell like the smell in paradise, because paradise in this earth has gorgeous smells over there, odors in paradise in this earth. So b'siyata dishmaya, he gets the blessing. Esav comes after, and he gets a blessing, but he doesn't get the blessing that Yaakov Avinu received. And it's abracha achat lecha avi, and he tells him to blessing, and he cries. And you remember we spoke about it. And then Yitzchak calls Yaakov at the end of Parashat Toldot, and he's blessing him. And he tells him, Vayikra Yitzchak el Yaakov, so he calls Yaakov, Vayivarech oto, and he's blessing him, Vayitzavehu, and he orders him, Vayomer lo, lo tikach isha mibnot Knaan, you shouldn't take a wife from the land of Knaan, kum lech pdan Aram, go to the house of Betuel, the father of your mother Rivka, and from there you should take from her brother you should take a wife. And he says, "Epdan Aram beita betuel avi imcha vekach lecha misha mibnot Lavan achi imcha," and take from one of your cousins a wife and marry her. וכל שדי יברך אותך ויפרך וירבך והיית לכלמים, and he tells him, and pay attention, this is Yitzchak telling Yaakov, over here he knows he's blessing Yaakov. So there's no even question about if he knew that he was blessing Yaakov, we didn't know. Now he's calling him and he tells him, I don't want you to get married with the daughters of Canaan, and I want you to go to Padam Aram, and over there it's to the house of the father of your mother, her brother. Go to her brother, your uncle, and get married to one of his daughters. And he tells him, "Vaiten lecha et birkat Avraham," and he says, I'm going to give you the blessing of Abraham, lecha ulezarecha itach, to your descendants, לרשתך את ארץ מגוריך, that you will inherit the land of Canaan. אשר נתן אלוקים לאברהם, that Hashem promised Abraham, your grandfather. וישלח יצחק את יעקב, and then he sends him. And because Esav sees this, and we also had a lesson about it, Esav sees this, and he sees that his father Yitzchak does not like the women in Canaan because they don't have good attributes, character traits. They have pride, and they don't see the truth beyond the falseness. So he sees this Esav, and he goes to Ishmael, and he gets married to Machalat, the daughter of Ishmael. This is the end of Toldot, and now I'm going to go to Parashat Vayeira. And Yaakov Avinu goes on his way. Vayeira Yaakov mi Beersheva ve'elech Harana. So he goes Harana, and over there Vayifga b'makom ve'elen sham. So he comes to that place and he sleeps over there. And he takes from the stones of the place, and I won't go into it, but all the stones become one stone. Each stone wants that the tzaddik, the righteous, will sleep on it, and they become one stone. And he takes the part of the Mefarshim say that he took 12 stones, and they all became one stone, like the 12 tribes united, like Am Yisrael as one soul, one body, Bezrat Hashem. And then he dreams a dream. ויחלום והנה סולם מוצב ארצה וראשו מגיע השמיימה והנה מלאכי אלוקים עולים ויורדים בו, and he has a dream, and it says, behold, a ladder was set earthward and its top reaches heavenward. Its top reaches, it's on the way to from Beersheba to Haran. He's on the way, but the ladder is from Beersheba and it reaches the Har Moriah to heavens, upon where the temple is going to be built in Jerusalem, in Yerushalayim. And he sees that angels are going up and down, and והנה Hashem נצב עליו, and it says, and behold, Hashem was standing over it, and it says, and now Hashem is speaking to him, I am Hashem, God of Abraham, your father, and God of Isaac. Now we know where the promise is going, because if we had a question between Yaakov and Esav, now here's the answer. The ground upon which you are lying, to you will I give it, and your descendants. No question mark anymore. The land of Israel, okay, which Hashem promised Avraham Avinu, Hashem promised to Isaac, now he's promising it to Yaakov, which means now we know that this land, the land of Israel, Eretz Canaan, is going from Abraham to Yitzchak, not to Ishmael, and from Yitzchak to Yaakov Avinu, not to Esav. This is the promise of Hashem, the promise of God. And he says, I will give it to, I'll read it from the beginning, the ground upon which you are lying, to you will I give it, and to your descendants. Your offspring shall be as the dust of earth, and you shall spread out powerfully westward, eastward, he says, northward and southward, and all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and by your offspring. I hope all the nations will listen to this shiur. All of the families of the universe are going to be blessed by the children of Israel. This is a promise. We just went from the beginning, from Lech Lecha, until now we're Parashat Vayeira. On the portion of Vayeira, we see that Hashem says that all of the nations are going to be blessed by the children of Israel. Why? Because the children of Israel are the firstborns of Hashem. All of humanity is the children of Hashem. But the firstborn is the children of Israel. And Hashem created the world. It's written in Genesis, the first chapter, the first verse. Bereshit bara Elokim, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning Hashem created heaven and earth. Reshit, beginning, refers to the children of Israel and the Torah. Because the children of Israel are called Reshit Vuata, the beginning of the harvest, and the Torah is referred to Reshit Darko, the beginning of his way. Hashem looked at the Torah and created the world, this physical world. So it says all of the nations are going to be blessed by your offsprings, which you are the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and you are their descendants, and we are their descendants. Behold, I am with you. I will guard you wherever you go. I will return you to this soul, even though you are going out of this soul, because your father now commanded you to go to take a wife from Aram. But I am going to guard you, and I'm going to bring you back to this land. For I will not forsake you until I will have done what I have spoken about you. Which means Hashem will fulfill his promise. Behold the children of Israel. Hashem is going to fulfill his promise. The children of Israel celebrate life. The children of Israel bring goodness to this world. The children of Israel had to go to this war because this is a self-defense war. It's not only for the children of Israel, but for all of the religions that are not Muslims. So know that this fight is the fight of the whole world. This war is the war of the whole world. Know that this began because Iran didn't like that Saudi Arabia will make peace with Israel. But there's Hashem, there's God, there's Allah in this world. Allah is God. And he sees everything. There's an eye that sees, an ear that listens, and all of our actions are written in a book, and we are all going to give judgment over everything that we did. So don't think that people can throw words out of their mouth unresponsibly. Know that we're going to be judged for every single word that we said, every sentence, every letter in a word. So let's continue. And this is a beautiful thing, because I'm going to go to what's so important in the land of Israel. In the map, it's mamash one line. So we already established that the land of Israel belongs to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their descendants, the 12 tribes, and us, the children of Israel, that are their descendants today. Okay, so let's look. What does he say? So Yaakov Avinu sees all of the exiles that the children of Israel will have to go through in order to do the fixing of Adam and Eve. We are doing the fixing of Adam and Eve. And in order that Mashiach will come, that Messiah will be here. Vayar ve'omar ma nora hamakom hazeh. So ויקץ יעקב משנתו, and Yaakov is waking up from his sleep. ויאמר אכן יש השם במקום הזה. Now I know that there's Hashem, God in this place, he says. ואנוכי לא ידעתי, and he says, he woke up very frightened, and he says, and I didn't know. And he became frightened and said, how awesome is this place. This is none other than the gate of God. Ze shar hashamayim, and this is the gate of heavens. He says, this is the house of God, and this is the gate of heavens. This is the land of Israel. Okay, let's go to Chesed לאברהם. Chesed לאברהם is כנו של אחידה, רבי אברהם אזולאי, עליו השלום זכותו תגן עלינו. And I'm going, בסייעתא דשמיא, to מעיין, the third spring. It's divided by springs, and I'm going to the third one. And over there I'm going to the third river, because in each springs there are different rivers. So this speaks about the land of Israel, and it's En Haaretz, like the eye of the land of Israel. Okay, so it says at the beginning of the third river, שארץ ישראל נתונה תחת שער השמיים, that the land of Israel is under the gates of heaven. The land of Israel, from there, it says in Parashat Ekev that the eye of Hashem, from the beginning of the year until the end of the year, the eye of Hashem is straight on the land of Israel. And why? Because the temple that King Solomon, the son of King David, that he built, and we have it in Divrei Hayamim, and we have it at the end of Shmuel Bet, and we have it in Melachim that King Solomon built the temple that is built on Har Moriah, on the mountain, the mountain of Moriah, the temple mountain. So over there, this is the gate of heaven, straight under the throne of Hashem, straight under the throne of God. All of the prosperity, all of the abundance of blessings come from there. And from there it spread to the whole world. And all of the gates, all of the channels of the abundance of blessing come from the prayers of the children of Israel, come from the Torah studying of the children of Israel. And everything that we do, all the good deeds and everything that we do, everything comes over there. And it's spread to the whole world. And besiyata dishmaya, because of this, because this is the gate of heaven. Here, Yaakov Avinu says it, and Bechesed Lavraham it's written, this is the place that he was sleeping is the gate of heavens. And then he puts a sacrifice, he puts oil over there, and he says this is a holy place. This is the Temple Mount, this is Har Moriah, which Yitzchak Avinu, Yitzchak our forefather, was sacrificed on it. And I would like to continue with this shar, and it says, Veda, כי 10 ארצות הבטיח הקהל יתברך לאברהם לתת לזרעו, like we saw 10 lands Hashem promised the Avraham Avinu to give to his descendants, Isaac and Jacob, and all of these, the 12 tribes and all of their descendants, which include us, B'siyata Dishmena, and our descendants. So it says 10 ones, but he gave him only 7, Keneged Midat HaMalchut, for the 10 counts of Kabbalah until kingdom, from the crown until kingdom, because all of these 10 lands are parallel to the 10 counts of the Kabbalah. This is what the Arizal says, and the Zohar Kadosh says it's parallel to all of the 10 counts of the Kabbalah. So, Shiklula Meser, that includes 10 counts, ובימי משה לא יפתחם על ידו אלא זין הארצות. And at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, only he gave him only 7 of the lands by the time. Why? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu sent the spies into Parashat Shlach Lecha, the spies into the land of Israel, and they came back, and they didn't encourage the children of Israel to go to the land of Israel. And because of this, on the 9th of Av, they were crying, and Hashem said, because you cried a false cry, he told him that there will be a ruining of the temple. So, dear ladies, because of this, that they felt spiritually from the level that they were, they could only conquer at that time the 7 lands, only the 7 lands, which is Achiti והפריזי, רפאים, האמורי, הכנעני, הגרגשי והיבוסי. But the first 3, which is הכיני, הכניזי והקדמוני, Hashem did not give them yet this. Only when Mashiach comes, there will be such a spiritual level that he can conquer. Why? Because all of these three, Akini, Aknizi, Akadmoni, Akini is parallel to Ammon, and Aknizi parallel to Moab. And you remember Ammon and Moab, these came from Lot. The Lot, his two daughters that slept with him when he was drunk and he didn't notice and he didn't know that. So we know that the first one, the oldest one, called her son that was born Moab, and the second one called him Ammon. These are the two nations that came from him. And the third one, the Kadmoni, is Har Seir, is Edom. These are the three. And Edom is parallel to the crown from the Klipa, from the impurity. And Knizi, which is Moab. Moab means Av. Av is a parallel. Av is a father, parallel to Chokhmah, to wisdom, to the count of wisdom. So this is the Chokhmah. And Kini, Ammon, is parallel. Mishol Noam is parallel to Bina. So this is Keter Chokhmah Bina. All of this crown, wisdom and understanding from the impurity. So in order to cleanse it, we have to have a spiritual level in order to cleanse it. But because of the sin of the spies, we didn't come to this level. And because of this, Hashem gave us the seven nations. But when Mashiach will come, so I'm going to continue reading it, and it says, וימי משה לא הבטיחם על ידו אלא זין ארצות של זין עממין בלבד שהם כנגד זין ספירות התחתונות. So all of these 7 nations of Canaan, in order to cleanse them spiritually, he gave it to the children of Israel, and these are parallel to the 7 counts of Kabbalah, which are the body, the part of the body, ולא המוחין, not the brain, which is Chesed, Gvura, Betiferet, mercy, judgment, and beauty, and then Netzach, Hod, Veyesod, eternity, glory, and foundation, and kingdom, which is Malchut. But the other 3, which is crown and wisdom and understanding, the other 3, Shem Aknizi, Keni, Aknizi, Akadmoni, which I told you, Keni is parallel to Ammon, Knizi parallel to Moab, and Kadmoni parallel to Edom, and Shehem Gimel Sfirot Elionot, that they are the 3 first counts, Gimel Rishonot, לא זין תחתונות, but Gimel Rishonot, ספירות עליונות, לא הבטיחם לפי שבזמן הזה אינם פועלים אלא התחתונות, because at this time, before Mashiach comes, only the 7 counts. And what is the 7 counts of the Kabbalah? This is the 7 counts that refer to our character traits that we need to fix בסייעתא דשמיא, us and all humanity. And then it says, אומנם אחר הגאולה האחרונה, but after the last salvation, which is the time of Mashiach, שיפעלו הגימל ראשונות, then all of the first 3 counts of Kabbalah, crown, wisdom and understanding, will be operated. אז יותן להם כל 10. Then Hashem is going to give, when Mashiach is here, he was going to give all of the 10 nations, dear ladies, all of the 10 states to the children of Israel. It will all be part of the land of Israel. And now I'm going to continue. And this is the 10 nations that Hashem promised Avraham Avinu. So now we're going to continue. I'm going to go now to Parashat Vayeira, Chumash Shmot. And we're going to Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, it's chapter Vav, Parashat Vayeira, and we're going to chapter Vav, verse 5. וגם אני שמעתי את נאקת בני ישראל, and first of all, it starts, וידבר אלוקים אל משה ויאמר אליו, God is speaking to Moshe, and he tells him, I am Hashem, אני השם, וירא על אברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, בכל שדי, ושמי השם לא נודעתי להם. And he tells him, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, in the name of Kel Shaddai, and my name Hashem, I wasn't revealed to them. וגם מקימות את בריתי איתם, and I established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, to give them the land of Israel, the land of Canaan, the land of their offsprings, Eretz Megurim, the land that they lived, Asher Garu ba, that they lived in which they dwelled. And then he says, וגם אני שמעתי את נאקת בני ישראל, and I heard the shout of the children of Israel, אשר מצרים מעבידים אותם, that the Egyptians are slavering them, ואזכור את בריתי, and I have remembered my covenant. And he tells him, לכן אמור לבני ישראל, so go and tell the children of Israel, אני השם, I am Hashem, והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים, I shall take you out of under the burden of Egypt. V'yitzalti, this is the 4 languages of salvation. So, and I shall rescue, v'yitzalti, first v'hotzeti, and then v'yitzalti. I shall rescue אתכם מתחת עבודתם from their service. And then it says, וגאלתי, והוצאתי, v'yitzalti, וגאלתי, and I shall redeem you with outstretched hand, בזרוע נטויה ובשפטים גדולים, and great judgments, ולקחתי אתכם, and I shall take you, והוצאתי והצלתי וגאלתי ולקחתי, and I shall take you to me for a people, ולקחתי אתכם לי לעם, והייתי לכם לאלוקים, and I shall be a God to you. So God says that the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they are going, his firstborns, they are his children, and he is going to be our God. He's the God of all humanity, but we are his firstborns. And והייתי לכם לאלוקים וידעתם כי אני השם אלוקיכם המוציא אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים. And I shall, and you shall know that I am Hashem, your God, who takes you out from under the burdens of Egypt. And then there's the 5th language of salvation. And pay attention, it says, והבאתי אתכם, and I shall bring you אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה, אני השם. And he says, I shall bring you to the land about which I raised my hand to give it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I shall give it to you as heritage. It's your birthright. The children of Israel, the land of Israel is the birthright of the children of Israel by God, by Hashem. I am Hashem. Ani Hashem. Morasha, heritage, lo inheritance. Inheritance, when we inherit something, we can give it to others, but not heritage. It's our birthright. It cannot go to anyone else. It belongs to the children of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes, and we are their descendants. This is a promise by God that created the universe. So now I'm going to Parashat וזאת הברכה, the end, חומש דברים, the end of all of the 5 books of the Torah. Before we start Nevi'im, before we start the prophets, we have 5 books of the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote in the name of Hashem. So, Torah ציווה לנו משה, מורשה קהילת יעקב. Torah gave us Moshe, commanded us Moshe, morasha, heritage to the children, to the community of Jacob. So listen very carefully. It says, the Midrash says, there's only 2 places that the word heritage appears. One is by the Torah, which is Parashat וזאת הברכה, and this is the blessing. Torah ציווה לנו משה מורשה קהילת יעקב. It's chapter 33 in חומש דברים, in the חומש דברים, verse 4. And the second one is Parashat Vayeira, which the first one is Parashat Vayeira in חומש שמות, chapter 6, and it's verse 8. והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה. I'm bringing you to the land that I promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I'm giving it to you, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm giving this land to you as a heritage. No question mark. This is the birthright of the children of Israel. There's no question. It doesn't belong not to Ishmael and not to Esav. This land belongs to the children of Israel. Now, we're going to continue the journey. And we're continuing to Parashat Masa'ei. Okay, Parashat Masa'ei ends Chumash Bamidbar. Just let me reach it. Here, Masa'ei. Okay. I'm going to Parashat Masa'ei. It's Chumash Bamidbar, the end of Chumash Bamidbar. After that starts Chumash Dvarim. And in chapter, and I'm reminding you also Parashat Matot, and we have the commandments that we can only fulfill them in the land of Israel. So let's go to Parashat Masa'ei. And in Parashat Masa'ei, it says chapter 34, verse 1 to verse 15. Please go and refer to it. וידבר השם אל משה לאמור. So Hashem speaks to Moshe and tells him, just a minute, and he tells him, צו את בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם. So he says, command the children of Israel and say to them, כי אתם באתם אל הארץ. As he says to them, when you came to the land of Canaan, El Haaretz Canaan, Zot Haaretz, this is the land that shall fall to you as a inheritance, as a inheritance. So it says over here, and בנחלה ארץ כנען לגבולותיה. So now Hashem gives the borders of the land of Canaan, the land of Israel, that Hashem gives to the children of Israel. And here he gives, והיה לכם פאת נגב, he gives from the south, ממדבר צין, from the desert of Tzin, על ידי Edom, next to Edom. You remember this is the 7 nations without the 3 that is going to be given to the children of Israel when Mashiach is here, when Messiah is here. והיה לכם גבול נגב. So he tells him, מקצה ים המלח, from the end of the Salt Sea, from the end of this is the land of Eretz Israel. ונשא בגבול מנגב, and he goes from south, and then he goes to the north. I won't go to all of it because it's a whole perek, but you can refer to it. It's chapter 34, Parashat Masa'ei, Chumash Bamidbar, from verse 1 to verse 15. And then he says, so all of this land from north, he goes from the north, Guvulot Tzafon, the north border, the east border, the border from the west is the border of the Mediterranean, and he goes to the south border, and then וירד הגבול הירדנה, והיו תוצאותיו ים המלח, and he says over here, the Salt Sea is the border from the side of Jordan, and it says, זאת תהיה לכם הארץ לגבולותיה, this is the land by its borders, ויצב משה בני ישראל לאמור, זאת הארץ אשר תתנחלו אותה בגורל אשר ציווה השם. So this is he says, Moshe Rabbeinu commands the children of Israel, saying, this is the land that you shall divide as a inheritance by lot, which Hashem has commanded to give to you, the 9.5 tribes. Why? Because remember that there are 2.5 tribes that are on the other side of the river Jordan, on the other side. For the tribe of the children of Reuven have taken according to their father's house, and the tribe of the children of Gad, Reuven, Gad, v'chatzi shevet Menashe, according to their father's house, and half the tribe of Menashe have taken their inheritance. 2.5 tribes have taken their inheritance on the bank of the Jordan by Jericho, eastwards towards the sunrise. So over here you have all of the borders of the land of Israel that were promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. that their children are going to inherit it, and all the 12 tribes that are the children of Jacob, and us, the children of Israel, their descendants. Now we are going to Parashat Haazinu to see that even Nabi Musa, which is Moshe Rabbeinu, Parashat Haazinu, we are going to Parashat Haazinu. Okay. Sorry, just let me count. Okay, Parashat Haazinu, at the end of Parashat Haazinu, it's before Bezot HaBracha, and this is the blessing. So at the end, it's chapter 32, verse 48 and 49. You remember Parashat Vayeira in Chumash Dvarim, Moshe Rabbeinu davens, he prays to Hashem 515 prayers in order to go into the land of Israel so he can fulfill all the commandments that are related only to the land of Israel. These commandments cannot be practiced anywhere else, only in the land of Israel. Shemitah, everything, Yovel, everything is in the land of Israel. So בסייעתא דשמיא וידבר השם אל משה בעצם היום הזה. So Hashem spoke to Moshe on that day saying, Alel har ha'avarim, he says, ascend to this mountain of ha'avarim, hazehar Nevo, this is mountain of Nevo, asher be'eretz Moab, which is in the land of Moab, asher al pnei Yericho, which is before Jericho, u'er et eretz Canaan, asher ani noten livnei Israel achuza, and look at the land of Canaan that I'm going to give as inheritance to the children of Israel. Okay, dear ladies, we see over here. Now we're going to Yoshua, and we're going to finish with Yoshua b'siyata dishmaya. So we're going to Yoshua, and Yoshua, the book of Yoshua, it's the first book of prophets after the 5 books, and we went through all of them in order to clarify who does the land of Israel belong to. God gave the land of Israel. Allah gave the land of Israel, Eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan, to the children of Israel. So now it says that Hashem speaks to Yoshua, and they are standing at the borders of Jericho now. And ויהי אחרי מות משה עבד השם ויאמר השם אל יהושע בן נון משרת משה לאמור. So after the death of Moshe, the servant of Hashem, Hashem said to Yoshua, son of Nun, and he tells him, he was the servant, Yoshua was the servant of Moshe לאמור. Moshe עבדי מת, Moshe, my servant, passed away, ואתה קום, עבור את הירדן הזה, אתה וכל העם הזה. Now you're going to, he tells him, you and all of the nation are going to cross the Jordan, this Jordan. And אנוכי נותן לכם, and אשר, he tells him, וכל העם הזה, לארץ אשר אנוכי נותן להם לבני ישראל. And you're going to enter, you, Yoshua, and the people, the Jewish people, Bnei Israel, to the land that I give to them, to the children of Israel. כל מקום אשר תדרוך כף רגליכם בו, every place, it says, every place upon which the sole of your foot will tread, I have given to you. כל מקום אשר תדרוך כף רגליכם בו, לכם נתתי כאשר דיברתי אל משה, as I spoke to Moshe. מהמדבר והלבנון, from the desert and its Lebanon, הזה, until the great river, ועד הנהר הגדול, נהר פרת, the river of פרת, כל ארץ החיתים, all of the land of החיתים, עד הים הגדול, until the Mediterranean, the big ocean, מבוא השמש יהיה גבולכם. Until the great sea, towards the setting of the sun, will be your bordering. So dear ladies, בסייעתא דשמיא, now we don't have any question. God created the world, Hashem created the world. And Hashem is the king of the universe. He's the boss of the universe. If people do not understand this, it's a pity, because they don't understand why they came into this world. We came into this world to do the will of God. if asks Jewish people to follow his commandments, 620 commandments, 613 by the Torah, 7 commandments by our sages, together 620, the numerical value of crown of Keter, and all of the nations, the 7 commandments of Noach. And by this there will be abundance of blessings upon the whole world. So, but we need to recognize who's the boss of the world. And instead of spreading hatred, we shall spread love and peace towards the world. So know that there's no existence to the world without the Jewish people. And the land of Israel is under the gates of heaven. And from there comes all of the abundance of blessings towards the whole world. And the children of Israel, the firstborns of Hashem. So B'siyata Dishmaya would like to bless all of us, that we will all have the zchut to greet Mashiach tzedkenu ברחמים רואים במהרה בימינו אמן. אליהו נביא זכור לטוב, לעולם ייפרד אדם מחברו בדבר הלכה יחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים. סיגלי, יחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים, ובסייעתא דשמיא אחינו כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשבייה, עומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה, המקום ירחם עליהם, ויוצא מצרה לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, משובוד לגאולה, השתה בעגלה ובזמר קריב, ואמרו אמן.
מצטערת.